PRC, quality service since 1972. Repairing TVs, console stereos, electronic musical instruments, pinball machines, arcade games, and more. Call 836-0454.
Hey, it's the Labor Day Weather Extreme video, the afternoon edition. We are laboring away today. This is the first day of September. Like the sound of that. Fall is my favorite season. Getting awfully close. James Spann here. Taking a look at weather conditions, which look very, very quiet for this part of Alabama for the next 5 days, with tropical action to the east and to the west. Let's go right to some shots around the Skycam network, and that's the one everybody's been watching today. That's our Gulf Shore Skycam. We put that camera there for days like today. That is on top of the Phoenix All Suites. And you're looking down on the public beach at Gulf Shores. Water everywhere. The place, of course, is totally vacant. And no major damage on the Alabama Gulf Coast today. Water, yep, a lot of it. But so far, despite the numerous tornado warnings for Baldwin County, I've heard of no major damage down there in the spiral bands. That's the greatest concern today, or the small tornadoes that could drop out of there. Here's a look at our Skycam over Meridian, Mississippi. Some ominous lower clouds there, but again, most of the really serious action with Gustav will be west and south of that spot. And the same deal for Demopolis, Alabama. That's the view coming from the top of the Demopolis Civic Center. And down, of course, below, that's the Tom Bigby River, and the sky cloudy, but all of the really active weather south and west of there. Hurricane Gustav, Hurricane Hanna, got them both on the water vapor satellite imagery. And Gustav, as you can clearly see, being blocked by that big high to the northeast of the system. It's certainly not going to move this way. It's going to be drifting slowly northwest and west with time. And Hanna is the next concern. But let's look at Gustav here. The system made landfall this morning about 8 o'clock southwest of New Orleans, and it's moving steadily towards the west-northwest. These bands continue. You can see 3 big spiral bands east of the center, and one of those impacting the Alabama Gulf Coast. We had a number of tornado warnings today. But up here, just not much to show you. They've got the radar, it's the Weather Service radar, in clear air mode, and looks like we'll really be high and dry for a while. There might be a shower somewhere today, tonight, or tomorrow, but not many, and not many for the rest of the week. There's a look at the tornado watch area along and east of Gustav, and that goes all the way over to Fort Walton Beach. And again, you can see very impressive spiral bands wrapping up into Mobile and Baldwin counties, Alabama. And there's a look at some of the tornado warnings at mid-afternoon. And at that point, Washington, Mobile, and Baldwin counties all under tornado warnings down there in southwest Alabama. Here's forecast track on Gustav. Should kind of drift up into the piney woods of East Texas and then curve north up toward the Red River, a little east of Paris, and just kind of dissipate there. And, of course, that means some folks are going to get hammered with big-time rain. Check out the QPF chart. Now, understand, we're in between here. We've got the rain from Gustav to the west, the rain from Hanna to the east. This is valid through Saturday morning, and just hardly anything here. We are in a very quiet weather pattern, despite the tropical action all around us. There's a convective outlook for the rest of today. Got a slight risk of severe weather. Pretty good chunk of Louisiana, South Mississippi, southwest Alabama, and the western part of the Florida Panhandle. Tomorrow, a slight risk over western Mississippi, much of Louisiana, southern Arkansas. Day 3, Wednesday. Pretty much the same area from Macomb, Mississippi up to Harrison, Arkansas. Now, what about the other one? Hurricane Hanna. That developed into a hurricane after getting some reconnaissance data back this morning. Modeling in pretty good agreement. The cluster is from roughly Brunswick, Georgia to Charleston, South Carolina. And the official track is pretty much along those lines. It brings it into the southern tip of South Carolina during the day Friday as a hurricane, probably a minimal hurricane. It's going to be fighting a number of issues, but we'll see how it goes. You know, as we've talked about with Gustav, forecasting the intensity 5 days in advance. There's not a lot of skill here, 4 days in advance. But it looks like it will be staying east of Florida and not impacting Alabama's weather at all. And hello, Ike. Well, it's not Ike yet. It's TD9. Looks like Ike, doesn't it? This is a good-looking tropical depression in the central Atlantic around 40 west. Modeling, well, we've got a bit of a spray there, but the general idea moves it in that old position around the southeast Bahamas. You know, we've not had a lot of low-latitude systems this year, and from there, it can make it into the Gulf, impact the Atlantic coast. All kind of things can happen. The Hurricane Center track is pretty much along the modeling. By Saturday morning at 8, it's just east of the Bahamas. And as a hurricane, that will be Hurricane Ike, if that's the case. So goodness gracious. Let's look at the GFS here. This is the output of the 12Z run, valid at 1 o'clock tomorrow. About 18,000 feet up. This is at 500 millibars. Shortwave lifting up on the Canadian border. Kind of tugging what's left of Gustav to the north. At the surface, we've got Gustav on the Texas-Louisiana border, a little southwest of Shreveport. Heavy rain continues over Louisiana, Arkansas, southwest Mississippi. We are dry. And Hanna shows up down there in the southeast Bahamas. Wednesday, Gustav going nowhere. Hanna, quite frankly, going nowhere fast. Thursday, Gustav begins to lift north. Heavier rain shifting up into Missouri. Hanna looks like a pretty menacing storm. Our friends in Miami nervously watching that thing, passing them by. Friday, it comes on in to, again, at some point between Brunswick and Charleston. And that jives up nicely with a Hurricane Center forecast. And then Saturday, the thing got hung up in the westerlies, and it pulls northeast up into the Northeast U.S. And again, that looks awfully windy and wet from Washington and Baltimore to New York City and Boston. And again, we note the weather here just benign. There might be a few isolated showers, not many. Same deal on Sunday, just a shower in spots, nothing really organized. In a week from today, Monday of next week, the westerlies beginning to dip a little farther to the south. That's a cool-looking pattern over Canada. Look at the big vortex up there. And look at the 540 line. The 540 line almost down to International Falls. It's been cold up there this summer, relatively speaking. And a front might trigger a few showers down here as it approaches. Into the cycle, into the forecast period, September the 17th, westerlies retreat a little northward there. And again, that doesn't look overly interesting, but again, we're not looking for specifics out there. Of course, we're just looking for trends. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video today. We'll have notes on the blog. The next video here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And, of course, we invite you to watch us on television if you are around our market in Birmingham on ABC 3340 at 5, 6, and 10. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening, and God bless.